is a spiritual deity. Freedom and liberty and justice shall fight for you. When you fight for freedom with all your soul, take it from me. This is Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, the voice of the nation, the voice.
This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB, bringing you news, cultural, and educational programs. This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra. And here is a special announcement from the leadership of Biafra government in exile. This is BCB.
Fellow Biafrans, it is understandable that a good number of us, both home and abroad, are skeptical about the Biafra restoration project. A lot of people are worried and anxious about how we can go about extricating ourselves from the mess we know Nigeria has become. A lot of us fear what the future holds. But as I talk to you today, I have total faith and belief that our future lies in a new Biafra. Our future lies outside Nigeria. We are able to reach our potentials. We are able to unleash that God-given talent and ingenuity that we have as Biafrans, which we know is being stifled under this servitude that we experience in this contraption called Nigeria. Today, I want to speak to you on the topic I captioned the 2023 Nigeria presidential election and the British stranglehold on Biafra, southeast of the former Southern Protectorate, wrongfully amalgamated with Northern Protectorate by the British colonial administration in 1914. Politics is the process by which a society chooses the rules that will govern them. Politics surrounds institutions for the simple reason that while inclusive institutions may be good for the economic prosperity of a nation, some people or groups such as the elite will be much better off by setting up institutions that are extractive. The real reason the British government hastily accepted the outcome of the shambolic presidential election in Nigeria is to maintain their control of the resources which abound in southeast Biafra land. The world watched as INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and the law enforcement colluded to commit some of the worst electoral malpractices the world has ever seen in broad daylight. The blatant disregard of its own rules. The Independent Commission orchestrated a deeply flawed, most chaotic and messy election, which produced a wealthy political fixer, convicted of drug offenses in the United States. The Labour Party and People's Democratic Parties are challenging the outcome of that election in the so-called Presidential Tribunal. The problem is the judiciary in Nigeria is also as corrupt as the executives and legislators. This was also the real reason why Lord Lugard moved to amalgamate North and South protectorates in 1914 in order to fund the colonial administration in the North with the resources in the South, and to fund the ever-growing British Empire. At no time did the interests of the people matter to him and the colonial empire. It was an extractive colonial policy of divide and rule, or divide and conquer, whichever way you look at it. Britain's traditional interest in Nigeria had nothing to do with the good of the people of Nigeria. The interest that existed and still exists is imperialistic. During the Nigeria-Biafra War, the genocidal war of survival, the British supported Nigeria to the hilt. The Harold Wilson government constantly supplied Nigeria arms and ammunition. Lorry loads of shells and bullets sped through the nights in covered trucks to Gatwick Airport. This was made public when one of the planes was spotted by a reporter when it was refueling in Malta. Economic interest has remained the focal point of British stranglehold on Nigeria. The issue of oil theft, which hit the headlines just before the elections, took off. It's a big thing, and the involvement of British businesses in corrupt deals worth millions of dollars will somehow have a significant influence on the outcome of the presidential election. It's not a surprise that a candidate of Southeast extraction, Sir Peter Gregory Obi, would campaign on good governance, zero tolerance on corruption, and putting an end to oil theft. By so doing, he was putting himself in direct collusion with large British and American corporations, as well as individuals of great power and influence, who have built crazy wealth through dirty oil deals in the Bight of Biafra, the oil-rich Biafra coastal region. These powers brought their influence to bear, together with the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, and the Independent National Electoral Commission, roundly aborted the will of the people, especially the youth, who came out in large numbers to vote for change, good and credible governance. Indeed, when history adds up the sins of commission and omission committed by the British against Biafra, in the name of such concepts as unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity, legalistic monstrosities when applied to Nigeria, then the Biafra War of Survival will come to epitomize the inhumanity of our age. One day, just one day, the world, Britain, and America in particular, will look into the eyes of Biafra and recoil. End of quote. From Biafra, Britain's Shame by Susanna Kronje and Oberon Wu. It is pretty obvious what the British policy on Nigeria has been since independence in 1960, even prior to that. Possibly because of the role Igbos and Yorubas played in the fight for independence. The East and the Western regions were ready for self-rule before 1960, but the North weren't. In 1960, the British handed over power to the less knowledgeable and subservient North, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe becoming only a ceremonial president, with the real power given to Tafawa Balewa. Awolowo ended up in prison in Calabar. He was subsequently released by Colonel Ojukwu, the Governor General of Eastern Region at the time. Then his famous quote, "If Eastern Nigeria is allowed to exit from the Federation, then I will pull Western Nigeria out of the Federation too." End of quote. What happened when Biafra was declared? Awo joined the federal government of Nigeria to fight Biafra, thereby repaying good with evil. Prior to all this, Gowon was all set to pull northern Nigeria out of the Federation. But the British made him remove the secession clause from his speech after the 1966 counter-coup, where the northern officers slaughtered thousands of eastern officers, including the head of state, General Umunnakwe Aguiyi-Ironsi. Then the waves of pogrom followed, where over 100,000 Biafrans were massacred from July to October 1966. The British government did nothing, said nothing about the Nigerian government murdering its own people. When Biafra decided to withdraw from Nigeria, the so-called country that murdered its citizens, it was for the sole reason of self-preservation. The Eastern Consultative Assembly mandated Colonel Ojukwu, as he then was, to declare the independent state of Biafra. As the war ensued, British government under the premiership of Harold Wilson committed the most heinous of crimes by shipping unimaginable, insane amounts of weapons to Gowon and Nigeria secretly, and publicly pretending to be neutral in the conflict. The massive supply of mortars, arms and ammunition, heavy military vehicles, bombs, continued unabated till late 1969. Even though it was public knowledge that these weapons were being used to slaughter Biafran civilians in millions, over 3.5 million was estimated. It could have been more. To have been killed, including women and children. By every definition of genocide, both conventional and traditional, it is inconceivable to think that the British government under Harold Wilson is not complicit in the crime of genocide against Biafra. The British, through their government and multinational companies, have continued to commit even greater atrocities, including what can easily be described as economic genocide in Biafra land, especially in the coastal areas. They are deeply involved in oil theft, gas flaring, oil spillage, and other activities that are hugely damaging to our environment. Local communities exposed to toxic air, polluted streams and rivers, farms and aquatic resources utterly destroyed, subjecting the peoples to abject poverty, poor health, no education, poor mental health, and extremely low mortality rate, high mortality rate, the likes of which are not seen anywhere else in the world. In the just concluded shambolic presidential elections, the British again sided the corrupt cabal to continue to cling to power in order to protect their interests. The one candidate who was perceived to be the most suitable for change was the only one who promised to stop oil theft. The British, in collaboration with the ruling APC, INEC, and the Northern Islamic Sokoto Caliphate, made sure that the will of the people was subverted. The matter is still in court, with the Elections Tribunal. Will the Elections Tribunal prove to be beyond reproach? Your guess is as good as mine. Not in the damnable Zoological Republic. They have proved in the past that they are not impartial. They are not beyond reproach. They are spectacularly corrupt and compromised. All the so-called one Nigerianists must be thinking, what the hell is going on? What is going on? Is what we have been telling you. What is going on is what we have been telling you in the last 20 years or even more. That Nigeria is unworkable. Full stop. The foundations are wrong. Not even Peter Gregory Obi can change it. The only way forward is a referendum. The indigenous nationalities wrongfully and forcefully coupled together in an unholy union of death, hardship, poverty, penury, and hopelessness must now be allowed to decide whether or not they want to remain or exit from Nigeria and form their own contiguous nations. For Biafra government in exile, we shall not go back on Biafra restoration. We shall continue in every way possible to seek freedom and liberty for our peoples. We have rejected the expired Nigeria contraption, and there is no going back until Biafra is restored. We demand, therefore, the immediate release of all Biafra detainees, especially Mazen Nnamdi Okwu Kanu, the leader of IPOB group. The British government again have taken the side of the oppressor. They, by not demanding the release of Nnamdi Okwu Kanu, who traveled to Kenya on British passport, have shown their support for tyranny over democracy and liberty. The same value they openly profess. How hypocritical. They knew that extraordinary rendition is against international convention. They knew that torture is crime against humanity. They know that disobeying court order is undemocratic, yet they sided with the despotic Buhari government in the continued detention of Nnamdi Okwu Kanu. But my message to the British government is simple and clear. Practice what you preach. Demand the release of Kanu now and bring the Buhari administration to justice. That's number one. Number two, condemn and reject the presidential elections result based on the fact that it was rigged. There was violence and voter suppression. The declared winner is a drug dealer and cannot be accepted in the international community. Number three, let my people go. Biafrans want a referendum now. The same way the British people had a referendum that allowed them to exit the European Union. It is a democratic process as opposed to a violence or outright war. Biafra government in exile is committed to a peaceful process that will allow Biafra to exit Nigeria. And now to all Biafrans, I sincerely urge you to be strong and courageous. There will be no retreat, and there will be no going back. For the Egyptians we see today, we shall see them no more. Our future is colorful and bright. A future of equality, fairness, mutual respect, opportunity for all, competition, innovation, creativity, where merit and excellence are rewarded regardless of who you are, and crime is punished regardless of who you are and your position. Our fathers started this. We must go back to 1964, when Eastern region was the fastest growing region in Africa and Asia put together. We can become that industrialized, wealthy nation our fathers envisioned in the 60s. I tell you today with confidence that a new Biafra is possible. Between 1954 and 1964, Eastern Nigeria was described as the fastest growing economy in the world by the Harvard Review. Faster than China, faster than Singapore, and all the Asian tigers. Dr. Michael I. Opala and Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, with their team, made it possible. All over the East, there were quality schools built by communities using the town development unions, backed by the matching grant from the Eastern Nigerian Development Corporation, with inexhaustible quality human capital, innovation, technology, technological ingenuity. A new, free, independent Biafra is indeed the hope of the African continent and the hope of the black race. Long live Biafrans, and may God bless and restore our nation, Biafra.
This is BCB, the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, bringing you the news headlines for the week. In this week's news, Oguta River Dredging Project, economic game changer for Imo and Nigeria, says Oshibanjo. IPOB codes switching. Gunmen burn bus tricycle in Onitsha to enforce illegal sit-at-home. Stay tuned for the details coming shortly. From The Guardian, Oguta River Dredging Project, economic game changer for Imo and Nigeria, says Oshibanjo. Vice President Yemi Oshibanjo has said the partnership between Imo State government, Nigerian Navy and the federal government for Oguta Dredging Project would be a game changer, as it would bring economic development to the state in particular and Nigeria as a whole. Oshibanjo disclosed this yesterday during the flag-off ceremony of the dredging of the Oguta River Development Project, which would extend to the Atlantic Ocean through Degema. He said, "It is a unique and transformational project. It is a game changer for Imo and Nigeria." According to the Vice President, the project would help the nation benefit from its job opportunities while tracing the history of the development from 1914. He hailed President Muhammadu Buhari for approving the project and flagging it off. Oshibanjo said the collaboration between the Navy, the state government, and the federal government would impact on employment opportunities and other forms of growth in the states and the country. Speaking, the state governor, Hope Uzodinma, said the project is a dream come true. He highlighted projects approved by the president, noting that the Federal University Teaching Hospital, Owerri, transformation of Alva-Nikoko College of Education, Owerri, to a federal university, among other institutional projects, are pointers to advancements of the state. In the event, attended by Chief of Defense Staff Lucky Irabo, his naval counterpart, Vice Admiral Awao Gambo, the President General of Ohaneze Ndibo, Chief Emmanuel Iwanyangu, among others, Uzodinma urged Buhari to release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, saying it is desirous. Irabo said the project would help address insecurity and safety in the area, calling for civility. On his part, a former governor of the state, Hakim, recalled that the project was a long dream come true, hailing Uzodinma for his ingenuity. From The Nation, IPOB's code switching. Outlawed separatist group, the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, seems tangled up in conflicting codes it's issuing to people of the southeast region that it claims to be a sphere of nationalistic interest. It once asked the people to sit at home on Mondays, and in another breath retracted and advised them to go about their routine chores. But every now and then it reversed the same call that has bled the region's economy pale and hobbled other aspects of societal life. The group had in August 2021 declared Ghost Mondays as an intended weapon to force the hand of government on the arrest and trial of its leader, Nnamdi Kanu. Not that this achieved much in alleviating Kanu's ordeal. Actually, it compounded his fate. But following that order, the region was grounded every Monday, with commerce and other businesses, including transportation, corporate, fuel station, and schools, paralyzed. Even government offices were shut despite threats by respective state governments that employees must report to work on Monday or face sanction. Apparently smitten by the crushing impact on the region, IPOB soon withdrew the order and asked residents to resist rogue enforcers who it claimed were not its agents and against whom it threatened countermeasures. The region is only just recovering from the incurred paralysis and straining from normalcy. Amidst that dislocation, IPOB frequently reinvokes the sit-at-home order. The latest is its declaration of 30th of May as a day to honor its fallen heroes and those who died during the 1967-70 Nigeria Civil War. This year's event will be special, and the one-day sit-at-home in Biafra land will be total and will be from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on May 30th, 2023. Every economic, social, religious, and political activity in Biafra land will be suspended with the exception of hospitals, doctors, nurses, ambulances, and other health workers. The group's spokesman, Imam Powerful, said in a statement last Monday. He added, "We therefore advise Biafrans and other residents in Biafra territory to avoid endangering their lives or their businesses by obeying sit-at-home from IPOB's leadership." And our final news of the day from This Day Live: gunmen burn bus tricycle in Onitsha to enforce illegal sit-at-home. Youths wielding guns and other dangerous weapons yesterday tried to disrupt the economic activities in Onitsha, Anambra State. The youths, who were suspected to be members of the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra, accosted and burnt commercial bus in Onitsha, claiming to be enforcing a sit-at-home directive. The youths who burnt down a tricycle were shooting into the air in Onitsha. A message has been circulated last weekend on social media stating that there will be a 4-day sit-at-home exercise in the southeast beginning from May the 8th. No reason was given for the order, but a press release by spokesperson of IPOB, Imam Powerful, stated the group had announced May 30th as a day for all Biafrans to sit at home in commemoration of Biafra Day. The burning of vehicles, it was gathered, had sent panic in Onitsha town, with sources saying that the enforcers were heading towards Abagana through the old road. But the State Police Command spokesman, DSP Tochukwu Ikenga, who confirmed the incident, said that the enforcers were confronted by police operative and had long been dislodged. He said, police responded swiftly, which made the criminals escape the scene. The hoodlums, in an attempt to scare the residents from coming out to embark on their daily activities, stopped and set on fire commercial vehicles and tricycles plying the road. The residents courageously resisted the assailants, and the fire has been put off by police operatives and some people in the area. Meanwhile, calm has returned to the area and the situation is now under control. That brings an end to our news summaries for the week. This is BCB saying thank you for listening and goodbye, friends.
Thank you for listening to us today. Join us next time for news, cultural, and educational programs. This is the Broadcasting Corporation of Biafra, BCB.
Hail to Biafra, consecrated nation. O Fatherland, this we must boldly pledge. Defending thee shall be our dedication. Spilling our blood will count our privilege. The waving standard we tremble, the free shall always be our flag of liberty. We shall emerge triumphant from this ordeal, and through the crucible unscathed we'll pass. When we are poised, the wounds of battle to heal, we shall remember those who died in mass. Then shall our trumpets peal the glorious song of victory. We score, oh mighty rock. Oh God, protect us from the heathen pitfall. Guide all our movements, lest we go astray. Give us the strength